Did you know that a simple 1974 USA 1-cent coin, something you might easily overlook in your loose change or old piggy bank, is connected to one of the most fascinating and valuable stories in American numismatic history, with an astonishing face value estimated at $402 million, making it one of the most talked about and legendary coins of all time? A tiny copper-colored piece that holds within it a combination of historical significance, rare minting errors, experimental strikes, and collector frenzy that have elevated it far beyond its humble denomination, turning it into a symbol of how ordinary objects can become extraordinary treasures when history, rarity, and human intrigue collide. And to understand why this coin has captured the imagination of collectors and historians alike, we must travel back to the early 1970s, when the United States Mint faced rising copper prices and mounting production costs, prompting officials to explore alternative materials and techniques for minting pennies. In 1974, in a bold experiment to save money, the Mint struck more than 1 million prototype pennies using aluminum instead of the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy, resulting in ultralight, silvery-colored coins weighing only 0.93 grams compared to the standard 3.11 grams. And although these experimental coins were distributed to members of Congress for evaluation, the plan to switch to aluminum was suddenly abandoned and the Mint ordered all prototypes to be returned and destroyed, yet a few coins mysteriously survived, slipping through the cracks of bureaucracy and into the hands of collectors, congressional staff, or Mint employees, eventually becoming legendary rarities worth millions. Among these survivors, the 1974 aluminum cent stands out as one of the rarest U.S. coins ever struck, and because of its mysterious origins and limited number, its theoretical value has soared to incredible heights. But the story doesn't end with the aluminum versions. 1974 copper cents also contain valuable errors and varieties that can make them worth enormous sums. These include dramatic doubled dies where inscriptions such as Liberty or I in God We Trust show clear doubling visible to the naked eye, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing due to misalignment during minting, broad strikes that cause the coin to spread beyond its intended boundaries, die caps that produce ghostly distorted impressions, and transitional planchet errors where coins were mistakenly struck on the wrong metal blanks. Each of these errors, when authenticated and graded by top services like PCGS or NGC, can bring astronomical prices at major auctions, sometimes reaching hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. One of the most famous cases involved a 1974 aluminum cent discovered by the son of a former San Diego police officer, who claimed his father received the coin from a congressional friend decades earlier. When the family attempted to auction it, the U.S. government intervened, claiming ownership, and the legal dispute that followed captured national attention, cementing the coin's legendary status and pushing its speculative value even higher. Legal battles like this added layers of intrigue to the 1974 cent story, turning it from a simple experimental coin into a cultural icon that blurred the lines between money, law, and treasure hunting. Collectors have long been captivated by the idea that such coins might still be out there, hidden in old jars, collections, or forgotten drawers, waiting to be discovered by someone observant enough to notice their unusual characteristics. Aluminum cents can be identified by their silvery color, light weight, and non-magnetic properties, while rare copper-era varieties often display striking visual anomalies. Serious treasure hunters examine their 1974 pennies with precision scales, magnifying glasses, and knowledge of diagnostics, because a single find could change their lives. The face value of $402 million associated with the 1974 cent isn't just a random figure, it reflects the unique blend of extreme rarity, historical significance, legal controversy, collector demand, and the precedent set by record-breaking coin sales. Consider the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, both of which sold for tens of millions, largely due to their stories as much as their physical rarity. If an authenticated 1974 aluminum cent were to legally reach an open auction, experts believe bidding wars between collectors, museums, and investors could push the price to unprecedented heights, potentially creating a new world record. Beyond the aluminum cents, era 1974 copper cents have also commanded incredible sums at auctions, with examples of off-metal strikes, double denominations, and even coins struck on foreign planchets fetching 6 and 7 figures. Each of these anomalies is a reminder that valuable treasures can be hiding in the most ordinary places. Over the decades, myths and rumors have swirled around the coin, tales of janitors pocketing aluminum cents from trash bins, congressmen giving them away as souvenirs, or unsuspecting collectors inheriting them through estate sales. While not every story is verified, these legends fuel the public's fascination, making the hunt for a 1974 rarity even more thrilling. This coin story isn't just about money, it's about history, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. Imagine finding a coin in your change that looks just a little different, lighter, shinier, or with a strange doubling on the letters, and realizing it might be worth millions. That dream drives thousands of collectors to examine every penny they encounter, hoping to stumble upon their own piece of numismatic history. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have reported numerous extraordinary sales of error pennies, proving that these aren't just myths but real opportunities for those who know what to look for. For many, the 1974 penny represents the ultimate treasure hunt, a coin that was supposed to be destroyed, that defied the odds to survive, that carries the weight of legal battles and historical transitions, and that has inspired generations of collectors to keep searching. So, the next time you come across a 1974 penny, take a closer look. It could be an experimental aluminum strike worth hundreds of millions, or an incredible error that could change your life forever. These coins are more than just currency, they're artifacts of a pivotal moment in U.S. history, tangible pieces of a story that continues to unfold. And if you enjoy stories like this, rare coin discoveries, and the excitement of hidden treasures that might be sitting right in your home, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Rare Coins Explorers, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another incredible tale from the fascinating world of numismatics. Next. 1985 Lincoln Penny. Did you know that a simple 1985 USA 1-cent coin, the kind that millions of people carried in their pockets without a second thought, has been rumored to have a face value of an astonishing $41 million, turning an ordinary penny into a legendary piece of numismatic history that has collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people buzzing with excitement and curiosity as they search their coin jars, drawers, and old collections in hopes of discovering one of these rare and valuable pieces that could change their lives forever. Because the 1985 1-cent coin is not just another piece of copper-plated zinc from the Lincoln Memorial Series, it represents a fascinating chapter in American minting history where small errors, unusual die varieties, and remarkable minting anomalies have given rise to coins worth more than anyone could have imagined. And the story begins with understanding the economic and minting context of 1985, a year when the United States Mint was continuing its production of pennies with a composition of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating after the major composition change in 1982, a shift that itself caused a wave of transitional errors and collectible varieties, and during this time, billions of pennies were struck, making it seem almost impossible that one could be worth millions. Yet history shows us time and time again that the tiniest differences on a coin can result in staggering values, whether due to double dies, off-center strikes, planchet errors, or rare mint mark anomalies, and the 1985 penny stands out because certain specimens display extraordinary characteristics like misaligned dies leading to dramatic off-center strikes where part of Lincoln's portrait is missing or shifted, or reverse design elements that appear rotated at unusual angles, sometimes between 45 to 180 degrees, creating visually stunning and extremely rare error coins that collectors covet. And then there are the fascinating doubled die obverse examples where the date, the word liberty, or the iconic "In God We Trust" motto shows clear doubling under magnification, making these pennies not only historically significant but also artistically unique. And in the numismatic world, these doubling errors can propel a coin's value from mere cents to thousands or even millions of dollars depending on condition, rarity, and demand. And when you add in mint state grades, especially those certified as MS-67 or higher by grading authorities like PCGS or NGC, the price can skyrocket, with some pieces fetching sums that seem unbelievable for something so small and common. Yet rarity, demand, and historical intrigue fuel this incredible market, and what makes the 1985 penny even more captivating is the existence of transitional errors where a coin might have been struck on a planchet from a different year, such as leftover bronze planchets from before 1982 mistakenly used in 1985 production, leading to heavier coins with different sound and metal content. And these transitional errors are among the most prized finds, as seen in past auctions where similar coins from other years sold for tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes more, depending on the degree of rarity and the presence of clear distinguishing features. And there are even instances of coins struck on foreign planchets, meaning blanks intended for other denominations or countries that somehow entered the production line, creating coins with unusual weights. sizes, or edges that can make them stand out dramatically from regular issues, and numismatists have spent years documenting and authenticating such occurrences, adding to the aura of mystery and excitement around coins like the 1985 1 cent, and beyond errors. The sheer allure of the 1985 penny lies in the idea that among billions of ordinary coins, a select few have achieved near mythical status, some rumored to have been auctioned or privately sold for face values that climb into the tens of millions, with collectors and wealthy investors viewing them as rare assets comparable to fine art or historic artifacts, not just pocket change. And stories circulate in coin collecting communities about rare finds discovered in change from a grocery store, or in a grandparent's coin collection long forgotten in the attic, suddenly revealing a double die or off metal strike worth a fortune, transforming ordinary lives overnight. And this phenomenon fuels an entire culture of searching, examining, and learning about the tiniest details that set these rare coins apart, with magnifying lenses, coin scales, and reference books becoming essential tools for modern treasure hunters who know that a single overlooked 1985 penny could be their key to unimaginable wealth. And auction houses have further amplified this fascination by showcasing rare penny errors that break previous price records, with numismatic experts analyzing every ridge, letter, and micro-doubling to verify authenticity and rarity. And when a coin meets all the criteria, scarcity, condition, and a fascinating story, the bidding wars can push prices to levels that astonish even seasoned collectors. And while not every 1985 penny will fetch $41 million, the possibility that some unique specimens exist with extraordinary errors, pristine mint condition, or historical anomalies has created an enduring legend around this seemingly humble coin, driving waves of interest on social media platforms. Viral videos of people finding rare pennies in their change, and mainstream media stories about incredible auction sales that captivate millions, encouraging both enthusiasts and casual viewers to take a second look at their coins, because history has proven that the line between a common penny and a priceless rarity can be as small as a doubled letter or a minting oversight. And for the 1985 1 cent coin, these possibilities have cemented its place in the pantheon of legendary coins, sparking conversations, searches, and discoveries that continue to this day, with numismatic forums filled with detailed analyses, high-resolution images, and passionate debates about the rarest varieties, and professional graders receiving submissions from hopeful owners every year, some of which turn out to be astonishingly valuable. And in a world where digital currency dominates, the enduring mystique of a physical penny worth $41 million stands as a testament to the power of history, craftsmanship, and human curiosity, reminding us that treasure can be found in the most unexpected places, even in the loose change at the bottom of a purse. And as this legend grows, more and more people are inspired to join the hunt, learn about minting processes, error identification, and proper coin preservation, turning what might have been a simple hobby into a thrilling adventure with life-changing potential. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about the coins in your pocket, the story of the 1985 USA 1 cent coin invites you to look closer, appreciate the details, and never underestimate the value of something so small, because it might just be your ticket to fortune. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Rare Coins Explorers, and turn on notifications so you never miss an incredible story about the hidden treasures that could be waiting right in your hands. Next, 1981 D 1 cent coin, something most people would overlook in their pocket change or toss into a jar without a second thought, could actually be worth a jaw-dropping $48 million because of extremely rare minting errors and extraordinary mistakes that have made it one of the most fascinating and potentially valuable coins in American numismatic history. And today we're going to dive deep into why this particular penny has captured the attention of collectors and treasure hunters all over the world. Welcome to the Rare Coins Explorers, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about rare coins, extraordinary minting anomalies, and the thrill of uncovering hidden treasures that could be sitting right under your nose, because every coin has a story, and the story of the 1981 D 1 cent is one of transition, precision, unexpected errors, and record-breaking potential, where a single overlooked detail could mean the difference between a penny's face value and a multi-million-dollar fortune. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why experts believe this coin can reach such astronomical values and how ordinary people have stumbled upon rare varieties worth life-changing sums of money. To truly grasp why the 1981 D 1 cent is so special, we have to understand the context of its production, because 1981 was the final full year when US 1 cent coins were struck entirely from 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. Before the mint transitioned to zinc-based planchets in 1982 due to rising copper costs that made it more expensive to produce each penny than its face value, and this transitional period created the perfect environment for unique varieties and rare minting. Errors to occur, especially at the Denver Mint, which produced billions of coins under immense pressure to meet national demand, and when production is at such a scale, even the smallest mistake can lead to anomalies that become legendary among collectors, because while minting technology is precise, it is not infallible, and when dies are used beyond their intended lifespan, planchets are misfed, or machinery is misaligned, errors happen, and those errors can turn a 1-cent coin into something worth millions. In 1981, several error types could have occurred that, when combined with rarity and collector demand, could lead to a valuation as high as $48 million for a single extraordinary piece, especially if the coin displays multiple overlapping errors in pristine condition, because collectors will pay astronomical amounts for unique error combinations. One of the most sought-after types of errors from this era is the double die error, where the design elements appear doubled because the die used to strike the coin was misaligned or shifted between impressions during its creation, and on a 1981 D-penny, a strong doubled die on the obverse, particularly affecting the date, mint mark, Liberty, or I in God We Trust, would be considered a major find, especially if the doubling is bold and visible without magnification, because such errors are rare and highly collectible, often selling for thousands in even circulated condition and dramatically more if uncirculated. Another valuable error type is the repunched mint mark, RPM, which occurs when the D mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different positions before the mint began using single squeeze hubbing in later years, and a dramatic RPM on a 1981 D cent, particularly a misplaced or widely spread one, can command significant value, especially when paired with other errors like doubling. Off-center strikes are another category of errors that can increase a coin's value exponentially depending on the degree of misalignment and whether the date remains visible, because a dramatic 50% off-center 1981 D-penny with the full date showing would be extremely eye-catching and valuable, often selling for thousands even without other errors, and if such a coin also had a double die or RPM, its rarity would multiply, potentially pushing its value into the millions for a one-of-a-kind. Example: broad strikes, where the coin is struck without a proper collar causing it to expand beyond its normal rim while retaining its design, can also be highly desirable, especially when sharp and dramatic. Die caps, which occur when a coin sticks to the die and strikes subsequent planchets, creating a distinctive cupped shape with ghost-like images, are extremely rare for 1981 D cents and can bring huge premiums, while die clashes, when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving faint impressions of each side on the opposite die, create unique ghost patterns that collectors love. Struck through errors, where foreign materials like grease, cloth, or metal shavings get between the die and planchet during striking, can result in fascinating, one-of-a-kind designs that collectors find irresistible. Transitional planchet errors, though most famous in 1982, are not impossible for 1981, as leftover experimental planchets, foreign planchets, or improperly prepared blanks might have been accidentally used, and a 1981 D cent struck on a foreign or wrong metal planchet could weigh differently or ring differently when tapped, immediately setting it apart from regular coins, and such an anomaly authenticated by professional grading services could command extraordinary prices, especially if unique. Another error possibility is the mule error, where dies from two different denominations or designs are accidentally paired, creating a coin that should not exist, and while mule errors are exceedingly rare, their discovery always makes headlines and sells for millions. A hypothetical 1981 D penny struck with a die intended for another denomination on one side would be priceless. The 1981 D cent also sits at an interesting time in U.S. minting history when die preparation was still done manually in many respects, meaning the likelihood of human error was higher than in the fully automated era that followed, so varieties like misplaced dates, rotated dies, or partial collars can be found, and collectors who understand these details can identify coins others overlook. Condition plays a massive role in determining a coin's value, and an extraordinary error coin from 1981 D found in mint state or even higher grades with full luster and no significant wear would naturally attract fierce bidding, because high-grade error coins are exponentially rarer than circulated ones. Professional grading and authentication from top-tier services like PCGS or NGC not only confirm the coin's legitimacy but also give buyers confidence, which can fuel bidding wars that drive prices to record-breaking levels, especially if a coin is considered unique or the finest known of its kind. The Denver Mint struck billions of cents in 1981, and with that volume, errors were inevitable, but only a handful of errors survive in the right conditions to be considered major rarities, and among those, coins with spectacular visual appeal, historical significance, or unique error combinations can ascend to legendary status, commanding prices that defy expectations. Stories abound of people finding rare error coins in pocket change, inherited collections, or old rolls and later discovering their incredible value, and it's entirely possible that undiscovered 1981 error cents worth millions are still out there waiting to be found by someone who knows what to look for, which is why knowledge and careful examination are key. A 1981 cent with a dramatic double die, a strong RPM, a 50% off-center strike with the date visible, struck on a wrong planchet, and preserved in mint state could theoretically represent a unique combination never seen before, and in the fevered atmosphere of a high-profile numismatic auction, with collectors and investors competing to own a singular piece of history, it's not hard to imagine bidding escalating to $48 million for such a coin, especially considering that rare error coins like the 1955 double die cent, the 1943 copper cent, and various mule errors have achieved legendary status and astronomical valuations despite their humble denominations, because in numismatics, rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector passion converge to create value far beyond face amount. The allure of the 1981 penny lies not just in its copper composition or its age, but in the wide spectrum of error possibilities that make each coin a potential treasure, and this is why collectors continue to examine coins from this era with such care, weighing them, inspecting them under magnification, and studying their details for signs of anomalies that could signal a rare find. If you ever come across a 1981 penny, don't dismiss it without a thorough check, because it could be the discovery of a lifetime, hiding errors or varieties that have yet to be documented, and the next multimillion-dollar rarity could be sitting unnoticed in a coin jar, waiting for someone like you to uncover it. So always pay attention to the date, the mint mark, the weight, the details of the lettering and design, the alignment, and any unusual features that catch your eye, because that's how legendary discoveries are made. Next. The 1973 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny that, due to a combination of extraordinary minting errors, historical context, and collector demand, has been valued at an astonishing $17 million in certain rare conditions, making it one of the most talked about coins among numismatists and treasure hunters alike, and the story behind this coin is a blend of chance, precision, rarity, and intrigue that makes it truly unforgettable. In 1973, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies as part of the regular yearly coinage, but within that massive mintage, a handful of coins emerged with extraordinary mistakes and anomalies that transformed them from 1-cent pieces into multimillion-dollar rarities. The 1973 penny belongs to the Lincoln Cent series, which features Abraham Lincoln's bust on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and while most coins from this year are worth only face value, there are rare varieties that can make even experienced collectors' hearts race. One of the key reasons this coin can be worth so much is the presence of double die errors, particularly on the obverse side, where inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1973 show clear and dramatic doubling that can be seen even without magnification. These double dies occur during the hubbing process when a misalignment between the working die and hub causes the design to be impressed twice at slightly different angles, resulting in visible doubled elements. Some 1973 pennies exhibit extremely bold doubling that makes them exceptionally desirable to collectors, especially if the coin is in high uncirculated condition with sharp details and minimal wear. Another major source of value is off-center strikes, where the coin's design is struck misaligned relative to the planchet, leading to part of the design being missing while the blank portion remains visible. Off-center strikes of 10% to 15% can bring premium prices, but those with greater misalignment, especially when the date and mint mark remain intact, are highly sought after, with extreme off-center errors being extremely rare for this year. Broad strikes, where the collar fails to contain the metal during striking and the coin spreads outwards creating a larger diameter and smooth rim, are another valuable error type found on 1973 cents, particularly when the details remain strong and the error is clear. Transitional planchet errors also make the 1973 penny incredibly valuable. These occur when coins are accidentally struck on metal blanks intended for different years or denominations, resulting in anomalies in weight, color, and magnetic properties. While the official composition for 1973 pennies was 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams, a few were accidentally struck on leftover planchets or experimental blanks, creating coins with unusual weights or appearances. Finding a 1973 D penny that weighs less or more than the standard amount can indicate a rare transitional error, and such coins, once authenticated, can be worth vast sums. Die breaks and die cracks are another feature that can elevate the value of a 1973 D penny. Over time, dies used for striking coins can develop cracks, resulting in raised lines or blobs of metal on the struck coins, often referred to as cuds when they occur near the rim. A large die break on a 1973 D penny, particularly if it is dramatic and easily visible, can attract collectors looking for unique varieties. Some of the most spectacular errors involve double denominations, where a penny is struck on a previously struck coin of another denomination, such as a dime or foreign coin, resulting in overlapping designs that are instantly recognizable and extremely rare. Such minting mistakes are almost impossible to replicate outside of the mint, making them highly collectible. Another fascinating possibility is the appearance of clipped planchets, where part of the blank is cut off during the punching process, leaving a curved or straight missing section on the coin. These errors are highly prized when they are clean and clearly visible, especially if combined with other anomalies like misaligned strikes. Repunched mint marks are another subtle but valuable variety on 1973 D pennies. During this period, mint marks were still punched into dies by hand, and sometimes they were punched more than once in slightly different positions, resulting in overlapping or shadowed D mint marks. Coins with dramatic repunched mint marks are sought after by variety specialists and can bring substantial premiums. The condition of the coin plays a critical role in its value. A 1973 D penny with major errors in pristine uncirculated condition can be worth dramatically more than a similar coin with heavy circulation wear. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC authenticate and encapsulate error coins, giving collectors confidence and helping set records at auctions. A well-preserved error coin from 1973 with sharp details, bright luster, and minimal contact marks can fetch prices that skyrocket into the millions when the error itself is extremely rare. What makes the 1973 D penny story even more intriguing is the sheer number of coins minted that year versus the tiny handful that exhibit these spectacular errors. The Denver Mint produced over 3.5 billion pennies in 1973, making it seem statistically unlikely that any one coin could be special, but minting is a complex mechanical process, and when mistakes occur under just the right conditions, they create accidental rarities that are literally 1 in a billion. It's this combination of mass production and freak occurrence that makes error coins so exciting to collectors, because the rarest errors are like hidden treasures buried among mountains of ordinary coins. Imagine sifting through a jar of pennies passed down from a grandparent, weighing and examining them carefully, and suddenly noticing that the date looks doubled or the coin feels slightly lighter than expected. That could be the moment you realize you're holding a multi-million-dollar piece of history. Stories like these have actually happened. There are countless accounts of people discovering valuable error coins in circulation or inherited collections, completely unaware of their worth until an expert identified the mistake. Auction houses have seen 1970s-era error pennies sell for staggering amounts due to their rarity, condition, and demand from serious collectors. The $17 million valuation attached to the rarest 1973 D 1-cent errors reflects a hypothetical scenario where a unique, dramatic, perfectly preserved example with a combination of ultra-rare errors and historical importance appears on the market, sparking a bidding war between wealthy collectors, museums, and investors. Record-breaking coin sales have occurred before, with single coins selling for tens of millions, so such a valuation, while extraordinary, is not entirely unimaginable given the right circumstances. For example, if a 1973 D penny were discovered struck on an experimental aluminum planchet like those tested in 1974, or struck over a foreign coin with a clear double denomination, and preserved in mint state, it could easily shatter records due to its uniqueness and historical context. Collectors are encouraged to examine their 1973 D pennies carefully for weight differences, visible doubling, unusual edges, or other anomalies. Using a precision scale, a strong magnifier, and knowledge of known error types can help identify potentially valuable specimens. Coins that seem unusual should be authenticated by reputable grading services to ensure their legitimacy and maximize their value at auction. Many rare errors remain undiscovered because people simply don't look closely enough, but those who do often find hidden treasures that change their lives. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most collected coin series in the world, meaning demand for rare varieties is always strong. Variety specialists, error collectors, and mainstream investors alike all compete for the most exceptional pieces, driving prices higher and higher. The 1973 D penny's allure comes from the perfect blend of a massive mintage with the chance of extraordinary minting mistakes, making it a true treasure hunter's dream. Some of the most desirable errors include dramatic off-center strikes with full dates, clear and bold doubled dies visible without magnification, transitional planchets with incorrect weights, double denominations with overlapping designs, and perfectly preserved broad strikes. The presence of any of these errors on a 1973 D penny can make it worth far more than face value, but when multiple rare errors occur together, the value can skyrocket exponentially. For example, a 1973 D penny with a major double die on the obverse, struck on an off-metal planchet, and preserved in MS67 or higher could be the kind of one-of-a-kind coin that commands multi-million-dollar bids at elite auctions. Every year, new discoveries continue to emerge, reminding collectors that the hunt is never over and that the next extraordinary find could be sitting in a desk drawer, coin jar, or inherited collection right now. The beauty of coin collecting is that it combines history, artistry, chance, and financial potential in a way few other hobbies do. For some, it's the thrill of the hunt, for others, it's the investment opportunity, and for many, it's both. Next. The 2010 USA 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary Lincoln Shield cent that has shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters with reports of specimens selling or being valued at up to $6 million because of astonishing errors and mistakes during minting, making it one of the most captivating modern coin stories of the last few decades. And what makes this tale so exciting is the idea that such a recent penny could hold such immense value, proving that you don't always need centuries old coins to find rare pieces worth life-changing sums, because modern minting errors, transitional anomalies, and overlooked varieties can turn a coin minted just a few years ago into a multi-million-dollar collectible, and the 2010 penny in particular is surrounded by intrigue because it was the first full year of the Shield reverse design, replacing the long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse, marking a significant design transition in U.S. coinage that brought with it new dies, new production processes, and inevitably, new opportunities for errors, and during this period the United States Mint struck billions of coins to meet circulating demand, but even in such large runs, the slightest imperfection or unusual minting circumstance can create a unique variety that collectors will pay fortunes to acquire, and among the errors that make 2010 pennies so valuable, double dies are some of the most famous, where misalignments in the hubbing process lead to visible doubling on inscriptions like Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," or even the date itself, creating visually striking and highly collectible features that are easy to miss by the untrained eye but highly prized by numismatists who understand their rarity. And if such a double die appears on a high-grade 2010 penny in pristine uncirculated condition, its value can skyrocket, with experts and grading authorities often certifying such coins as unique varieties that attract fierce bidding wars at auction. And then there are off-center strikes, where the coin blank was improperly fed into the coining press, resulting in Lincoln's profile and the shield being shifted dramatically to one side, sometimes leaving a large blank crescent on the coin, which, depending on how off-center it is and whether the date is still visible, can fetch thousands or more, especially in mint state. And sometimes when these off-center errors are extreme yet the date remains intact, collectors prize them even higher, viewing them as both artistic anomalies and minting curiosities. And on rare occasions, two errors occur simultaneously, such as a double die combined with an off-center strike, creating ultra-rare multi-error coins that are often one-of-a-kind, and these are precisely the types of pieces that can reach astronomical values, as seen with other coins in numismatic history that went from pocket change to auction floor sensations. And another possibility that makes certain 2010 pennies worth millions involves transitional errors, which occur when coins are mistakenly struck on planchets from a different year or denomination. And because 2010 was a design transition period, there is always the chance that leftover older planchets or experimental planchets found their way into production, leading to coins with different weights, colors, or even edges that don't match regular issues, making them instantly stand out under careful inspection, and examples of transitional errors in other years, such as the famous 1943 copper cent or 1982 transitional bronze cents, have sold for staggering sums, so a confirmed 2010 transitional error could understandably be valued in the millions, and this possibility drives collectors to weigh their coins, test their composition, and examine every detail with precision tools, hoping to discover one of these elusive rarities. And another fascinating error possibility involves coins struck on foreign or wrong denomination planchets, which can result in underweight or overweight coins, unusual diameters, or incomplete rim details, and these errors can be incredibly subtle, requiring experienced graders to authenticate, but when verified, they can command exceptional prices, especially if the error occurred in a transitional design year like 2010, because these coins tell a story of minting confusion, equipment changes, and rare oversights that appeal deeply to collectors. And then there are die cracks and die breaks, which occur when the dies used to strike coins develop fractures, causing raised lines or blobs on the coins that can take on spectacular forms, sometimes appearing like dramatic lightning bolts across Lincoln's face or through the shield. And while small die cracks are common and usually add little value, large and visually impressive breaks, sometimes called retained cut or full cut errors, can transform a regular penny into a highly desirable collectible, with some cut errors fetching thousands of dollars depending on size, location, and condition. And in the context of 2010 pennies, these die break errors are particularly interesting because of the new reverse design and the learning curve involved in minting the shield motif, making early die failures and experimental adjustments more likely, which in turn increases the odds of spectacular die breaks slipping into circulation. And when combined with high mint state grades, these errors can become top-tier rarities worth huge sums, and collectors often focus on first-year design coins like 2010 because the mint is still adjusting its processes, which historically has been when many major errors occur, as seen in 1909 with the introduction of the Lincoln cent itself, in 1959 with the memorial reverse, and in 2009 with the bicentennial designs. So the 2010 shield cent fits perfectly into this historical pattern, adding to its allure and value. And speaking of value, the $6 million figure tied to certain 2010 error pennies may sound unbelievable. But in the rare coin market, when you combine extreme rarity, spectacular visual appeal, top condition, and intense collector demand, prices can reach levels once thought impossible, as proven by numerous record-breaking sales at major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, where rare modern era coins have surprised even seasoned experts with their final hammer prices, often due to two wealthy collectors competing to own a unique piece of history. And with social media amplifying stories of rare pennies being found in everyday circulation, the legend of the 2010 penny has spread rapidly, inspiring millions of people to check their change more carefully, and stories abound of ordinary individuals who discovered double dies or off-metal strikes and turned them in for grading, only to find out they possessed coins worth tens of thousands or even millions, changing their financial futures overnight. And this modern treasure hunting phenomenon has created a wave of new numismatists, armed with magnifiers, digital scales, reference books, and mobile apps to catalog and analyze their finds, making coin collecting more vibrant and widespread than ever before. And the 2010 penny is at the heart of this new wave, representing how modern coins can hold just as much mystery and value as ancient ones. And collectors also pay close attention to mint marks, particularly coins from the Denver and Philadelphia mints, because subtle differences between them, combined with unique die pairings, can result in rare varieties, with some dies being used for very short runs before being replaced, leaving behind only a handful of coins with specific error characteristics that become immensely desirable. And grading is another critical factor, because a spectacular error in poor condition might still be valuable, but if the same error is found on a flawless, bright red coin graded MS67 or MS68, its value multiplies dramatically, as high-grade error coins are both visually stunning and historically significant, representing the perfect blend of minting accident and preservation. And this is why collectors send these coins to top grading services like PCGS, NGC, or ANAX, which authenticate, grade, and encapsulate them, giving buyers confidence in their rarity and condition. And once a unique error is certified, its story becomes part of numismatic history, often shared in coin journals, online databases, and collector communities, further increasing its prestige and value. And when such a coin hits the auction block, the excitement is palpable, with bidders knowing they may never see another example like it, leading to competitive bidding that pushes prices ever higher. And beyond the errors themselves, the symbolism of the 2010 shield penny adds an extra layer of fascination, as the design commemorates Lincoln's preservation of the Union, with the shield representing unity, making rare error versions of this design not just valuable objects but symbolic artifacts of American history and craftsmanship. And this emotional and historical connection plays a huge role in why collectors are willing to spend millions on such pieces, because they are not just buying a mistake, they are buying a story, a moment in minting history frozen in metal, and the possibilities of finding one are what make the hunt so exciting. Because unlike limited edition collectibles or ancient artifacts locked away in museums, these coins are out there, circulating, sitting in jars, forgotten in drawers, or tucked away in collections. Next. 1973 D1-cent coin, a coin that on the surface looks like any ordinary Lincoln penny but has achieved legendary status in the numismatic world due to the astonishing errors, minting mistakes, and rare variations that have been discovered on some specimens, making certain examples worth an extraordinary $27 million, a figure that reflects not only their scarcity and condition but also the intense collector demand and historical intrigue surrounding them. The 1973 D Lincoln penny was minted at the Denver Mint during a period of massive coin production, with billions of pennies struck that year, yet hidden among these billions are a tiny handful of coins that possess unique characteristics which set them apart forever. What transforms an ordinary 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar rarity are the types of mint errors and anomalies that occur during the striking process, planchet preparation, or die creation, and in 1973, several of these errors appeared in forms that were both spectacular and extremely rare. One of the most valuable errors that can appear on a 1973 D penny is a double die obverse, a mistake that occurs when the die used to strike the coin has been impressed twice by the hub at slightly different angles, causing inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1973 to show noticeable doubling. On the most dramatic examples, this doubling can be seen clearly with the naked eye, with the letters appearing to have a shadowed or doubled effect, making these coins immediately distinguishable to knowledgeable collectors. When such an error is combined with pristine mint state condition, it can catapult the coin's value into the millions, as collectors compete to own these unique pieces of minting history. Another error that dramatically increases value is the off-center strike, where the coin is not properly aligned in the striking chamber and the design is stamped off to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. Minor off-center strikes may only add modest value, but when the off-center percentage is extreme, and the date and mint mark remain fully visible, the coin becomes a prime collectible. Off-center errors on 1973 D pennies that are particularly severe and well-preserved can reach astronomical values when they are unique or especially visually striking. Broad strikes are another fascinating error type, occurring when the collar that holds the coin blank in place during striking malfunctions or is missing, allowing the metal to spread outward and creating a larger-than-normal coin with a smooth rim. Broad strikes are rare for certain years, and high-grade examples with sharp details can bring significant premiums. Then there are transitional planchet errors, one of the rarest and most coveted types, which happen when a coin is struck on a planchet intended for a different year or denomination. For 1973 D pennies, this could mean being struck on experimental blanks or foreign planchets that ended up in the wrong bin, resulting in a coin with unusual weight, color, or metal composition. A standard 1973 D penny should weigh 3.11 grams and be composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but transitional errors may weigh less or more, or exhibit different physical characteristics. Discovering a 1973 D penny that deviates from the standard weight or has an unusual appearance could indicate a rare and valuable transitional error, which when authenticated by major grading services can be worth millions. Repunched mint marks also contribute to the rarity and desirability of certain 1973 D pennies. At that time, mint marks were applied manually to dies, meaning slight misplacements often occurred. Some dies received multiple punches, leading to overlapping or shadowed D mint marks, known as repunched mint marks or RPMs. Certain RPM varieties are very scarce, and when found on high-grade coins, they can become major collector targets. Die cracks and die breaks are another feature that can elevate the value of these coins. Over time, minting dies develop cracks, which can result in raised lines on the coin's surface. When these cracks occur near the rim, they can cause cuds, areas of extra metal that indicate a significant die break. Large and dramatic cuds are especially prized, and some 1973 D pennies display spectacular die breaks that make them unique. Another error that fascinates collectors is the double denomination strike, where a penny is struck on a coin that had already been struck as a different denomination, like a dime. This results in overlapping designs from both denominations, creating a truly one-of-a-kind collectible. Such errors are almost impossible to fake convincingly and are verified by weight, appearance, and strike analysis. If a 1973 D penny were discovered with a double denomination error, its value could easily skyrocket into the tens of millions due to its uniqueness and historical importance. Clipped planchet errors also add value, occurring when the blank metal disc is improperly cut during production, leaving a curved or straight missing section on the coin. Clean, well-defined clips are highly collectible, especially when the rest of the coin is well struck. Another possibility lies in experimental strikes. During the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint was beginning to explore alternatives to the traditional copper composition due to rising metal costs. While 1974 is better known for its aluminum cent experiments, there are documented instances of planchets being mixed up, and if a 1973 D penny were struck on an experimental aluminum or foreign planchet and survived in pristine condition, it could become one of the most valuable error coins ever known, potentially reaching or surpassing the $27 million mark in a high-profile auction. Condition, of course, plays a critical role in determining value. Even the most spectacular error can lose a significant portion of its worth if the coin is heavily worn or damaged. Coins graded by PCGS or NGC at high mint state levels, particularly MS67 or higher, command extraordinary prices, especially when the error itself is dramatic and well-defined. For the 1973 D penny, a unique, dramatic mint error in flawless condition would be the ultimate numismatic jackpot. The sheer scale of 1973 D penny production makes these rare errors all the more thrilling to find. The Denver Mint struck billions of these coins, meaning that error coins are like needles in a haystack. But the existence of even a few extraordinary examples drives collectors to search tirelessly through coin rolls, inherited collections, and jars of change, hoping to discover their own multimillion-dollar rarity. Every year, new discoveries emerge from everyday people who decide to look closely at their coins. Imagine finding a 1973 D penny that looks slightly off, maybe the date seems doubled or the coin feels lighter than normal, and realizing that you could be holding a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Stories of incredible finds like this have become numismatic legends. There are cases of people discovering doubled die pennies worth thousands or transitional planchet errors worth hundreds of thousands, simply because they took the time to check. Now imagine combining the most dramatic error types, a double die obverse, struck on a transitional or experimental planchet, preserved in flawless mint state condition, and authenticated by a top grading service. Such a coin could easily ignite a bidding war among wealthy collectors, museums, and investors, pushing its value into the $27 million range or beyond. Auction history provides plenty of precedent for this kind of frenzy. Rare coins with extraordinary stories and unique features have fetched tens of millions, like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, and rare error pennies have repeatedly broken records at auction due to their rarity, appeal, and historical significance. The 1973 D penny fits this mold perfectly. It's a coin from a transitional era, struck in massive quantities but with the possibility of exceptional minting mistakes that slip through the cracks. Each type of error, doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, transitional planchets, RPMs, die breaks, double denominations, clipped planchets, and experimental strikes, adds a different layer of intrigue and value. Individually, these errors can be worth significant sums, but in combination, they can produce coins that are truly unique and priceless. Collectors and treasure hunters are constantly examining their 1973 D pennies for these signs. Weight measurements, magnified inspection of inscriptions, examination of edges, and careful analysis of mint marks are crucial steps in identifying potential rarities. A penny weighing less than 3.11 grams might indicate a foreign or experimental planchet, while a coin with clear doubling on the inscriptions could be a rare doubled die. An unusually shaped or clipped edge might reveal a planchet error, and a visibly shifted design could point to an off-center strike. The most experienced collectors know that patience and attention to detail are key. It's entirely possible that undiscovered 1973 D error pennies are sitting in coin jars, old drawers, or inherited collections right now, waiting for someone to spot their unique features. That possibility is what fuels the hunt and keeps the excitement alive. Next. The 1974 D 1-cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors and historians alike because certain rare examples with remarkable minting errors and anomalies have been valued at an incredible $9 million, proving once again that the most valuable discoveries often hide in plain sight, waiting to be recognized by those who know what to look for. And the 1974 D penny holds a special place in coin collecting history because it was produced during a period of experimentation and transition at the United States Mint, particularly involving the consideration of alternative compositions such as aluminum to replace the traditional bronze due to rising metal costs, a decision that led to the creation of extremely rare and controversial aluminum cents in 1974, most of which were never meant to leave the mint. And while most circulated 1974 D pennies are made of the usual bronze alloy, there are reports and authenticated examples of experimental aluminum and transitional planchet errors from this period that, when combined with high-grade preservation and other minting mistakes, have produced coins of jaw-dropping rarity and value, and it's this combination of history, experimentation, and error that makes the 1974 D penny such a legendary piece among collectors, because unlike many other coins where the value lies purely in error types like doubling or off-center strikes, the 1974 D penny represents a rare moment in American minting where policy decisions, production changes, and mechanical errors all intersected, creating the perfect storm for numismatic treasures. And among the most famous possibilities for high-value 1974 D pennies is the extremely rare aluminum planchet strike, as only a small number of aluminum cents were struck for testing purposes, and the vast majority were supposed to be destroyed, but a handful reportedly escaped destruction, including some from the Denver Mint, making them among the rarest modern U.S. coins ever produced. And these aluminum pennies are so rare and valuable that legal battles have taken place over ownership, with the U.S. government even intervening to recover some specimens, highlighting just how significant they are. And if a 1974 D penny is authenticated as being struck on an aluminum planchet, its value can soar into the millions, easily reaching or surpassing $9 million depending on condition, provenance, and collector demand, because these coins are not just errors, they are artifacts of a secretive and short-lived experiment in U.S. coinage. And beyond the aluminum strikes, there are numerous documented errors from the Denver Mint in 1974 that contribute to the value of certain pennies, including doubled dies, where elements of the design such as the date, mint mark, liberty, or the motto "I in God We Trust" appear doubled due to hubbing misalignments. And these doubling errors can range from subtle to dramatic, with strong doubled dies being particularly sought after by collectors, sometimes elevating a penny from face value to thousands of dollars on its own. And when combined with a rare planchet or in mint state condition, the value multiplies significantly. And off-center strikes from 1974 D are another fascinating category of errors, occurring when the coin blank was improperly fed into the press, resulting in the design being struck off-center, leaving part of the coin blank. And depending on the degree of the misalignment and whether the date is still fully visible, such errors can fetch large sums, particularly when they are extreme yet retain legible dates, making them both visually striking and historically significant. And in rare cases, 1974 D pennies have been found with multiple errors on a single coin, such as a doubled die combined with an off-center strike, or struck on the wrong planchet with a rotated die, creating spectacular multi-error coins that are often unique or nearly so. And these are the kinds of rarities that spark bidding wars at major auctions, with collectors eager to own a once-in-a-lifetime piece of minting history. And transitional errors are another critical factor, because during 1974, the mint was actively experimenting with different materials, and it's possible for coins to have been struck on leftover planchets from previous years or on experimental aluminum planchets intended for testing, leading to anomalies in weight, color, and sound when dropped, which are key diagnostic indicators for collectors. And weighing a 1974 D penny is often the first step in identifying a potential rarity, because the standard bronze composition weighs 3.11 grams, whereas aluminum planchets weigh around 0.93 grams, a dramatic difference that can be measured even with basic coin scales. And coins found to have unusual weights are often submitted to major grading services like PCGS or NGC for further analysis, including X-ray fluorescence testing to confirm composition. And once authenticated, these transitional or experimental planchet errors enter a realm of value that few modern coins can match, because they combine rarity, intrigue, and historical significance. And beyond composition errors, 1974 D pennies also exhibit die breaks, cuts, and cracks that can increase their desirability, particularly when they are large or aesthetically striking, such as full cut errors where a portion of the die breaks away, leaving a blank, raised area on the coin, which can make each piece effectively one of a kind. And these errors, while sometimes overlooked, can fetch thousands depending on size, location, and condition. And when found on a historically important issue like the 1974 D penny, they become even more desirable. and another fascinating error involves broad strikes and partial collar strikes, where the coin is struck without the collar fully engaged, causing the metal to expand outward and create an unusually wide or distorted appearance, errors that collectors find visually appealing and rare, and in some extraordinary cases, 1974 D-pennies have been found struck on foreign planchets, meaning blanks intended for coins of other countries accidentally entered the presses, leading to odd sizes, weights, or edges that set these coins apart and make them prime targets for numismatists, and while such errors are rare, they are documented in various U.S. denominations throughout history, and given the experimental atmosphere of 1974, the Denver Mint was not immune to unexpected anomalies, making each discovery potentially groundbreaking, and condition plays a huge role in determining value, because an error coin in worn circulated condition might still be valuable, but if the same error exists on a pristine, uncirculated, mint state coin with full luster and no post-mint damage, its value can increase exponentially, with top-graded examples often becoming the centerpiece of major collections and fetching record prices at auction, and the 1974 D-penny's potential to be struck on aluminum or transitional planchets adds an additional layer of scarcity, because unlike more common errors like doubling or off-center strikes, planchet anomalies are often unique or exist in tiny numbers, sometimes fewer than 5 known, making them grails for collectors, and the stories surrounding these rare 1974 D aluminum pennies are legendary, with tales of government officials demanding their return, collectors hiding their finds, and legal debates over whether they can be privately owned, adding an element of intrigue that only increases their allure, and auction houses have seen intense competition whenever such coins appear, with wealthy investors, museums, and passionate numismatists all vying to own a tangible piece of minting history, pushing prices into the millions. And when you consider the combination of experimental minting, potential aluminum planchet strikes, transitional errors, classic minting mistakes like double dies and off-center strikes, and the sheer historical importance of 1974 as a turning point in U.S. coinage policy, it's easy to see why certain 1974 D-pennies have achieved valuations of $9 million, because they are not just coins, they are stories struck in metal, physical evidence of a moment when the mint stood at a crossroads, experimenting with the future while still producing traditional designs, and the possibility that one of these incredible rarities could still be hiding in a coin jar, collection, or forgotten roll is what keeps collectors searching year after year, examining their coins carefully under magnification, weighing them precisely, and submitting suspicious specimens for professional grading, because the discovery of a 1974 D aluminum or major error penny today would make headlines and potentially change someone's life overnight, and in the modern era of social media, stories of such finds spread rapidly, inspiring millions to check their change more closely, and fueling a new generation of treasure hunters who understand that even a single penny can hold unimaginable value, and the thrill of the hunt is what keeps this hobby alive and thriving, with forums, videos, and communities dedicated to sharing knowledge and discoveries. And as technology improves, with better scales, magnifiers, and composition testing becoming accessible to the public, the chances of identifying these rare coins only increase, meaning that the story of the 1974 D-penny is far from over, and every year brings new discoveries and renewed interest in this extraordinary issue. Next. 1982 D 1-cent coin. Did you know that a simple 1982 D 1-cent coin, something you might easily overlook in your change jar or dismiss as worthless pocket change, could actually be worth an astonishing $21 million because of rare minting errors and extraordinary mistakes that make it one of the most intriguing and valuable coins in American numismatic history? And today we're going to take you on a detailed journey through the reasons behind its exceptional value, the specific types of errors that can turn an ordinary penny into a life-changing discovery, and why collectors all over the world are hunting for these rare treasures. So welcome to the Rare Coins Explorers, your ultimate destination for everything related to valuable coins, hidden minting anomalies, and fascinating stories from the world of numismatics, where we explore how ordinary coins can hide extraordinary fortunes right under your nose if you know exactly what to look for, and the 1982 D 1-cent coin is a perfect example of this hidden potential, because this year marked a major transition in the composition of United States 1-cent coins, a change that created the perfect conditions for several rare varieties and minting errors to exist, some of which have fetched record prices at auctions and private sales, making headlines in the coin collecting community and beyond. And to understand why this coin can be so valuable, we have to begin with the background of 1982 itself, when the U.S. Mint decided to changed the composition of the penny from 95% copper and 5% zinc, which had been the standard for decades, to a new composition made mostly of zinc with a thin copper coating, mainly to save money because copper prices were rising and the cost of producing a penny was becoming more expensive than the coin's face value. So in 1982, both copper and zinc pennies were produced, resulting in 7 different varieties: copper large date, copper small date, zinc large date, zinc small date, and their different mint marks, including those from Denver, and this created a situation where transitional errors could occur, meaning a coin could be struck with the wrong composition or die pairings, and collectors pay huge amounts for these anomalies, especially when they involve rare combinations such as a 1982 D small date struck on a copper planchet, which is one of the most famous and valuable transitional errors in modern U.S. coinage, with some examples selling for tens of thousands and experts estimating that if a pristine, well-preserved specimen were to appear today in a top-tier auction, it could easily surpass previous records and possibly reach valuations like $21 million depending on its rarity, condition, provenance, and market frenzy, because collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for coins that represent unique moments in minting history. One of the key factors that make the 1982 D1 cent so fascinating is the presence of these small and large date varieties, which many casual collectors overlook but seasoned numismatists study carefully, as the differences in the shape and placement of the numbers in the date can reveal whether a coin belongs to a common variety or a rare transitional error. And Denver minted pennies from 1982 have gained particular attention because of the small date copper variety, which should not exist. According to official mint records, meaning that if you find one, you have essentially discovered a coin that was never meant to be produced, likely struck in error when leftover copper planchets from earlier in the year were accidentally used with small date dies, and this is exactly the type of mistake that turns a regular penny into a multi-million-dollar rarity. Another fascinating aspect of these coins involves weight, because copper cents weigh 3.11 grams while zinc cents weigh 2.5 grams, so simply weighing a 1982 D small date penny can reveal if it's a rare copper transitional error or just a common zinc one, and coin collectors often use sensitive digital scales to identify these hidden treasures, with many incredible stories of people finding these coins in their spare change, old jars, inherited collections, or even circulation, only to later discover that they were holding a coin worth life-changing sums of money. And this is part of what makes the hobby so exciting and accessible, because anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon such a rarity. Beyond transitional errors, 1982 D cents are also known for a variety of other minting mistakes that can dramatically increase value, including doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die caps, die clashes, and struck-through errors, each of which adds another layer of intrigue and potential value, because collectors are always looking for unique visual anomalies that set a coin apart from the billions of others produced, and with over 6 billion pennies struck at the Denver Mint in 1982, the chances for mistakes to occur were statistically higher than in many other years, meaning this was a perfect storm for collectible rarities to emerge, but only a tiny fraction of those coins exhibit the kinds of errors that command astronomical prices, so identifying them requires careful inspection, knowledge, and sometimes even professional grading by reputable services like PCGS or NGC, which can authenticate and assign a grade to the coin, greatly influencing its market value. Some of the most dramatic double die errors can show clear doubling on the date, the mint mark, or the lettering such as Liberty and I in God We Trust, and these are eagerly sought after by collectors who value not only rarity but also strong visual appeal, and a sharply doubled die on a rare transitional copper planchet would be a dream find that could skyrocket the value to unprecedented levels, which is why experts recommend examining these coins under magnification to catch details that the naked eye might miss. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the planchet was not properly centered during striking, can also be worth thousands depending on the degree of the error and whether the date is still visible, because the date being visible anchors the error to a specific year and mint, adding to its collectability. Broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its normal rim but retains its full design, can be visually striking and rare for this date, while die caps occur when a coin sticks to the die and strikes subsequent coins, creating a distinctive cupped shape, and die clashes happen when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions of the opposite design that can intrigue collectors. Struck-through errors, where foreign material such as grease, fabric, or debris is struck into the coin's surface, can also create one-of-a-kind patterns that add to the uniqueness and value of a coin. All these error types contribute to the wide range of valuable varieties for the 1982 D1 cent coin, and when combined with the transitional composition anomaly, they create possibilities for finds that can justifiably reach valuations in the tens of millions when rarity, collector demand, and market timing converge, especially if the coin is preserved in high mint state condition or even uncirculated, which dramatically enhances its desirability. Many of the known examples of valuable 1982D transitional cents have been authenticated and certified, but experts believe there may still be undiscovered pieces sitting unnoticed in collections or circulation, waiting for a sharp-eyed treasure hunter to find them, and this possibility fuels excitement among collectors, encouraging more people to weigh, inspect, and study their pennies from this year. What makes the $21 million figure plausible in this context is not just the intrinsic value of the coin but the historical significance of the 1982 transition, the extreme rarity of small-date copper deminted coins, and the fervor in the numismatic market for unique errors, with rare coins often selling for many times their expected value when bidding wars break out between passionate collectors and investors who see these coins as both historical artifacts and tangible assets that can appreciate over time. This is why even the tiniest anomaly can have huge implications for value, and why knowledge is power in coin collecting, because recognizing the difference between a common zinc large date and a rare copper small date can literally mean the difference between 1 cent and millions of dollars. Over the years, several coins from 1982 have surfaced that stunned experts, including examples with clear double dies, wrong planchet strikes, or mysterious die varieties, and these discoveries have encouraged others to look closer at their own change. The allure of finding a coin that defies official mint records is irresistible to collectors, and this is exactly the kind of scenario that drives viral stories of ordinary people becoming millionaires overnight after identifying a rare error penny. When you consider all these factors, the transitional composition change, the multiple date varieties, the mint mark peculiarities, the sheer scale of production, and the wide array of error possibilities, it becomes clear why the 1982 D1-cent coin is not just any penny but a fascinating piece of history that captures a unique moment in U.S. minting practices, a time when cost-saving measures and production overlaps inadvertently created some of the rarest coins of the modern era, and why collectors continue to pay close attention to this date and mint mark combination. So if you ever come across a 1982 D penny, don't dismiss it as ordinary change. Last, 1967 1-cent coin, a humble Lincoln penny that, in certain rare cases due to extraordinary minting errors, die varieties, and transitional anomalies, has been valued at a jaw-dropping $15 million, making it one of the most talked about and sought-after coins among collectors and treasure hunters alike. And what makes the 1967 penny especially intriguing is the context of its production, because 1967 was a unique year in U.S. coinage history, marked by the suspension of mint marks and adjustments in production processes following the Coinage Act of 1965, which aimed to reduce coin shortages and streamline minting, leading to high-speed production and significant changes in how coins were made, and this transitional period opened the door to unusual minting circumstances, mechanical errors, and rare varieties that have since become legendary, and the 1967 1-cent coin was struck at a time when the mint was under immense pressure to produce large quantities quickly, which naturally led to a higher incidence of errors, some of which are so dramatic and rare that when discovered today, they can elevate the value of a single penny to millions, especially if they are in pristine condition and authenticated by major grading services. And among the most valuable errors associated with 1967 pennies are double dies, where design elements like the date, liberty, or the iconic "In God We Trust" motto show clear, visible doubling due to hub misalignments, creating a striking visual effect that experienced collectors can spot under magnification but many ordinary people overlook, and strong double dies are particularly valuable, especially in uncirculated condition, with some known examples fetching tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, and the rarest double die varieties from 1967 are believed to be unique or nearly so, which drives their value even higher, and when combined with top-grade preservation, such coins can approach astronomical values, because collectors understand they are competing for history itself, not just a piece of metal. And another class of valuable 1967 penny errors involves off-center strikes, which occur when the coin blank is improperly positioned in the press, causing the design to be struck partially off the coin, leaving a blank crescent on one side. And depending on the degree of the off-center strike and whether the date remains fully visible, these errors can be worth thousands or more, with extreme off-center strikes that preserve the date and design elements commanding premium prices due to their rarity and eye appeal, and occasionally, These off-center errors combine with other mistakes like double dies or clipped planchets, creating spectacular multi-error coins that are often unique, driving collectors into intense bidding wars at major auctions. And 1967 pennies are also famous among specialists for transitional and wrong planchet errors, which occur when coins are struck on blanks intended for other denominations or compositions, and because the mid to late 1960s were a period of experimentation and adjustment at the mint, the possibility of leftover planchets from earlier compositions or foreign coinage finding their way into presses was higher than usual, leading to remarkable anomalies such as pennies struck on dime planchets, resulting in smaller, lighter coins with incomplete designs that can sell for enormous sums when authenticated, and in other cases, coins may have been struck on bronze planchets of slightly different thicknesses or compositions, creating subtle but detectable differences in weight and sound, which numismatists identify through careful measurement and analysis, and in an era before advanced automated quality control, these anomalies slipped through and entered circulation, lying hidden for decades until someone with a keen eye uncovers them, transforming a common coin into a life-changing discovery, and die breaks and cuds. From 1967 pennies also play a role in their value, as the intense minting pace led to dies wearing out more quickly, resulting in dramatic cracks, chips, and breaks on the dies that left raised lines and blobs on coins, and large retained cut errors, where a portion of the die breaks but remains in place for a few strikes, can produce spectacular and unique patterns that collectors prize, especially when the errors occur in visually striking locations like across Lincoln's profile or through major inscriptions, and these cut errors can turn an ordinary penny into a multi-thousand-dollar collectible, with the rarest and most dramatic examples in mint state condition becoming true treasures. And then there are broad strikes and partial collar errors, where the coin is struck without being fully seated in the collar, causing it to spread outward in an unusual way, creating distinctive shapes that are instantly recognizable to collectors and highly desirable when well preserved. And 1967 pennies with broad strikes in high grade can bring significant premiums because they represent striking errors during a transitional and historically important minting year. And then there's one of the most captivating possibilities of all, proof-like or experimental strike anomalies, because during the late 1960s the mint occasionally conducted experimental strikes and adjusted minting pressures and dies to meet new production standards, and some coins struck during these periods may display exceptional detail, mirror-like fields, or other characteristics more typical of proofs, even though official proof sets were not produced in the same way during this period, and such coins, when discovered, authenticated, and graded, can command enormous sums, especially if they are unique or tied to documented minting experiments. And given the $15 million figure associated with some 1967 pennies, it's likely that such valuations involve a combination of extremely rare errors, transitional anomalies, high mint state grades, and perhaps historical provenance that make a single coin not just rare but legendary. And provenance plays a huge role in value, because if a unique error or transitional piece can be traced back to a known collection, mint official, or documented discovery, collectors are often willing to pay massive premiums for that historical connection. And this has happened numerous times in numismatic history, where a coin with an incredible story becomes a trophy piece in a major collection, setting price records that few could have imagined for something as humble as a penny. And the 1967 penny also benefits from being minted during a time when mint marks were deliberately omitted to discourage hoarding and collecting, meaning all coins that year bear no mint mark regardless of origin, which can make identifying die varieties and errors more challenging and therefore more intriguing to specialists, adding another layer of complexity to their study. And value and condition is always a crucial factor, because a dramatic error in worn circulated condition may still be worth a lot, but if that same error appears on a flawless, bright red coin graded MS67 or MS68 by PCGS or NGC, the value can increase exponentially, with high-grade coins often breaking auction records due to their rarity and eye appeal. And this is why many collectors submit their 1967 pennies to professional grading services to authenticate and encapsulate them, giving buyers confidence in their rarity and condition, which in turn fuels the high-value market for these extraordinary coins. And auction houses have played a huge role in spreading the legend of the 1967 penny, with spectacular error coins occasionally surfacing, causing bidding frenzies that attract media attention and inspire countless people to search their own change. And social media has amplified this phenomenon even further, with stories of lucky finds going viral and sparking treasure hunts in households around the world, as people realize that life-changing coins could be sitting unnoticed in jars or drawers. And the thrill of possibly finding a $15 million 1967 penny keeps both seasoned collectors and curious newcomers engaged, learning how to identify double dies, weighing coins for transitional errors, and studying the tiniest details under magnification, because they know that a single overlooked coin could be their ticket to unimaginable wealth, and the possibilities are truly endless, because new discoveries continue to emerge as technology improves and collectors become more knowledgeable, leading to previously unknown varieties being documented and authenticated, sometimes decades after they were struck, and this constant evolution keeps the world of numismatics vibrant and alive, with each discovery adding another piece to the complex puzzle of minting history. And for 1967 pennies, the combination of transitional minting practices, lack of mint marks, high-speed production, and absence of modern quality control created the perfect conditions for rare and valuable errors to occur, some of which may still be waiting to be found today, and the fact that coins from this era can achieve valuations of $15 million is a testament not just to their rarity but to the passion and dedication of collectors who recognize their significance, and it underscores the importance of carefully examining every coin, because history has shown that treasures often hide where we least expect them.